A couple of weeks ago, I was on the Zelos website having a look at the watches that were in stock and available to buy, because Zelos is one of those brands, when they release new watches, they usually sell out pretty quickly, the more appealing versions anyway. And I was really surprised to see this Swordfish field watch with a mother of pearl mosaic dial available to buy. I really would have expected this watch to be one of those models that sold out very, very quickly, but seemingly it didn't. I thought I'd get one in to try and understand why. In fact, there's only one Swordfish field watch that's actually sold out. It is the mother of pearl dial version with a bronze case. I would have expected the mother of pearl dial versions to sell out the quickest because they've got the most interesting dials. And Zelos aren't asking for too much more money for them, and Seiko produced a mosaic dial a little while ago, and that watch was in hot demand. So it's obviously not the mother of pearl mosaic dial that's the issue, because, well, the only one that has sold out does have the mother of pearl mosaic dial. Perhaps it's just that Zelos are better known for producing incredible dive watches, so it's not the sort of watch people were expecting Zelos to produce. I suspect it's got more to do with the fact that they've produced 350 of each of these, and they usually produce 200, I think. All of their watches are individually numbered on their case backs, and yeah, this one's number 67 of 350, so it's probably just that. But while I've got this in my hand, I have to say, I like it. I like the fact that it is a little bit different. It's still a bit chunky and a bit sort of beefy, but it's smaller than their dive watches. It's quite stubby, and there's something about sort of short, stubby, angular cases that I really, really like. It reminds me a little bit of a series of watches that Boltony produced a little while ago. They kept using the same case. Again, it was sort of short and stubby and had this sort of protruding crystal, and something about that watch appealed to me. So I think you have to like a certain case shape, a certain set of dimensions perhaps, to like their Swordfish field watches, and yeah, I like them. I like the corners and the angles on the case. I like the fact that it's a bit chunky and a bit blingy as well. You've got that high polished ring on the bezel, a really nice mix of brushed and polished finishing, and of course, as you'd expect from Zelos, it's been very nicely done. Really cool loom as well. I'll show you the loom at the end of the video. I'll do my usual 5-minute loom degradation test. I'll also do my legibility test as well. It's quite a busy dial because it's a mosaic dial, but I don't think there'll be too many issues with legibility. The hands are quite shiny, so I think they contrast pretty well. I think they've matched it with the perfect bracelet as well. Again, sort of flat facets and strong corners and angles on the bracelet, a mix of brushed and polished finishing. The clasp is quite chunky, but the case is quite chunky as well, so the weight in that clasp is going to help to even up the weight on your wrist, so it's going to feel well balanced. And of course, again, as you'd expect from Zelos, decent specifications throughout. Right, I'm just going to pause the video for a very brief moment to give you guys a couple of seconds to hit that subscribe button and the bell notifications icon. Of course, you'll be doing me a massive favour, and in return, I'll continue to post awesome reviews like this for you guys. As always, thank you. 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, screw down case back, sapphire crystal, AR coating, solid everything, a splash of loom on the crown, beautiful case back, double-ended quick release spring bars, beautifully milled clasp with on the fly adjustment as well, screw pins as well on the bracelet, which I like, and I think the end links really suit the case. I like the fact that you can actually see the side of the case at the top and the bottom, if you like, and they've actually finished that very, very nicely. Quite often that is a part of a case that is, well, not given the same sort of attention as the rest of the case, but because some of it is exposed, they finished it very nicely. The brushing is very, very nice, and the end links just seem to fit perfectly. Where they butt up to the case, it seems almost seamless, and the lugs have that little polished facet on the inside, very reminiscent of the Omega Aquaterra, and yeah, you see that detail on a lot of cases. I like it, and the case is just generally one of those cases that when you keep looking at it, you keep noticing little details, little touches that they've done, little facets, little corners, little changes of finishing, even on the crown guards, for example. Not necessarily what you'd be looking for in a field watch. Field watches, you know, you want them to be rough and rugged, and you don't want to have to be careful with them, and with all the polishing on this watch, I guess you're going to have to be a little bit careful, especially with that polished bezel as well. The watch does sit a little bit higher on your wrist than I think you would want. But I really don't think Zelos are producing a mother of pearl mosaic dial field watch for people to be actually wearing out in the field. And the dial is really the reason I was interested in getting this watch in, because I've been looking at dials on sort of mid-tier watches recently. I call them mid-tier watches that cost between $200 and $500 US. And I really do think there has been a bit of an explosion in terms of different dial materials and styles being used on watches in that price bracket that would ordinarily have been reserved for more premium watches. And we're even seeing aventurine dials and forged carbon dials on watches costing under $200. So I will be compiling a list of the top 10 watches featuring the best dials costing between $200 and $500, and this watch will undoubtedly be on that list. I was blown away when I saw this watch online. I couldn't believe the price. $429 US for this watch. They're only asking for an extra $29 for that mosaic dial, which surprised me, although the watch does house the NH38, which is the no-date version of the NH35 basically. So I think maybe that is one of the reasons why people have not been clambering to pick up one of these. It's on the sort of upper end of the price scale, if you like, for a sort of NH38 powered watch, isn't it? But incredible watch. Love the dial, love it. Love the case shape, love the dimensions. There's not a lot to dislike in my opinion. So yeah, I am genuinely surprised to still see 6 out of the 7 models still readily available. That's, yeah, surprising. Right, while I'm wrapping things up, I'll perform the legibility test and I'll also show you the lume degrading over a 5-minute period. And I'm also going to ask you guys to suggest some incredible watches with amazing dials costing between $200 and $500 US. I've already compiled my top 10, but yeah, nice to consider some other options that you guys can suggest as well. Right guys, as always, a massive thank you from me to you. I do appreciate it.